Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories.
I'm your home now, kid.
We open on the planet Akir where the small farming community live in complete harmony. They have no defenses, so when the Hammerhead flagship rolls up and destroys their only satellite, these people are royally screwed. The open-headed Malmori people and their decaying leader Sador demand that everyone submit to his rule or they'll convert the planet into a star. He gives the Akira people 7 days to comply with his demands and shoots a couple before leaving because that's just what villains do. The elders gather for a council meeting led by the wise old Zed, who suggests that we just steal the plot of 7 samurai and hire mercenaries. Despite having nothing to offer as farmers except for maybe some space hose, the most skilled pilot among them, Shad, volunteers to seek help. With the blessings of the elders, he departs in Zed's big-breasted spaceship managed by a sentient computer with a quirky attitude named Nell.
Throwing my backside to those mutant sons of...
To escape the blockade, Shad's given control of the guns and told to destroy the Malmori fighter pursuing them, but he's completely spineless. At least that's what the computer calls him, who's forced to outrun them by itself, as apparently the greatest pilot on Akir isn't even that good.
You got no backbone, kid.
Thankfully, the Gashes can't venture too far from the Hammerhead, so they just return to the surface where they abduct a local to have some fun with her. Our young hero ventures to the Hephaestus space station where he hopes that the doctor who runs the deserted facility might be able to help. The stranger is treated like all of the android staff that work on the station and brought to their creator's daughter Nanelia, who maintains them. She almost cuts open the only other human that she's met before noticing that this one is warm and probably not a robot. Excited to introduce herself, she clearly yearns to leave this lonely prison but has remained here out of loyalty to her father. The refrigerator would like Shad to breed with his daughter to populate the station, but he's unwilling to abandon his mission no matter how pleasant that sounds. It isn't an offer, as Hephaestus wants to just imprison Shad like a stud until every 9 months when Nanelia needs a top off. I'm not sure why he thought that his daughter would go along with this, but she just releases the prisoner because what the hell, Dad? They then get all flirty as the coercion clearly wasn't necessary and talk about wind like Nanelia has never experienced it. She doesn't fart then, I guess, and orders a droid to sacrifice itself to open the security door so that Shad can escape. He asks Nanelia to join him and there's some fluff about her wanting to stay here to take care of her father, but a few minutes later she figures screw this and catches back up in her own ship as she really wants to experience the breaking of wind. The two split up to cover more ground while searching for mercenaries, and Shad comes across a space trucker from a planet that's no stranger to wars. He's ambushed by spacejackers who try to cut their way inside with space lasers, as all you gotta do in this universe is put the word space in front of it. Nell insists that it's okay to take a life to save another, so spineless Shad grows a backbone and blows all 4 pirates up just like Jesus would have done. The wisecracking freighter pilot known only as Cowboy was delivering a shipment of laser guns to a proud race of aliens on the planet Umatil. Unfortunately for business, pride means that somebody thought it was a good idea to turn Sador's emissary into powder and return him in a little baggie. In a bit of an overreaction, he whips out the stellar converter, turning the planet's surface into that of a burning sun in a matter of seconds. Presumably the Cowboy's customers didn't make it, so Shad suggests bringing the weapons to Akir and teaching them to fight as payment for saving his life. The only Earthling in this movie accepts, and Shad continues searching for assistance when a UFO beam him right out of Nell. 5 clones called the Nestor abduct Shad on board their ship and can control people with their collective consciousness but don't want any harm. Well, not exactly, as they claim that their life has become unbearably boring without conflict and are intrigued by the novelty of going to battle. They insist on joining the resistance free of charge, and these bloodthirsty psychics will make a fine addition to the collection. Meanwhile, Nanelia is off searching by herself for more allies and is almost eaten by a creature made up entirely of light called a Zyme. She's saved at the last second by a powerful passing ship and captured by the reptilian Captain Cayman, who hunts Zymes and cooks them into sellable protein. His crew consists of a half-naked man named Quopeg and 2 little humanoids called Kelvins who give off heat to communicate. They plan to sell Nanelia as there's bound to be some protein on these bones, but she mentions hiring mercenaries to fight the Warlord Sador. Now you couldn't prevent the Cayman from joining the party even if you tried, as he wants vengeance on those who destroyed his homeworld. Elsewhere, Shad reaches a dark, desolate wasteland where the once thriving population now lives beneath the radioactive surface. He descends underground through a hatch and finds a dusty old machine that dispenses pills and one that dispenses girls. The selection down here is rather dried up and meek, as the only person left on the whole planet is the legendary assassin Gelt. He only remained here because his reputation means that he's wanted on every planet in the galaxy, making it hard to spend his large fortune. He's amassed a wealth 10 times that of Shad's entire planet, so makes a deal that he gets to live on Akir in exchange for defending the place. It's as good a deal as any, so Shad agrees and move over elders because Gelt will probably be running the planet in a few months. On their way back to Akir, Shad is confronted by a tiny ship issuing a playful challenge with non-fatal firepower. It's highly maneuverable and Shad's unable to land a shot on the proven warrior Saint-Exmin who wants to achieve a glorious death. She offers to join his group of defenders but Shad rejects her out of embarrassment for losing their game, which gets him mocked by Nell.
You bet.
The Valkyrie woman just follows the fleet of spaceships back to Akira anyway, as who out of these people are going to refuse extra firepower. When the heroes arrive they aren't aware of the kidnapped Akira on board the Malmuri fighter, so Gelt just blows them all out of the sky together. Upon reaching the surface everybody comes out of their homes wary of these violent strangers, but they soon come around. The assembled mercenaries discuss their plan of attack with the intelligent android designer doing most of the heavy lifting it seems. Akira elders use some fancy crystals that reverberate off another in space to dig trenches on the surface as they prepare for battle. On their last night they all sit around the Kelvins like a campfire and the Cowboy toasts weenies, which the Nestor seem to enjoy. In private, Exmin explains to Nanelia how sex works. As it turns out she wouldn't have known what to do with Shad even if she tried. Even without father's intervention the two kiss but get interrupted when Shad's torque bar slips its groove, and that's not a euphemism. It just means that he needs to get back to work while the Cowboy makes a move on Lux with his whiskey on tap and ice dispensing belt buckle. When the party pooper Sador returns everyone gets ready except for the Cowboy, whose deal was only to deliver the weapons. He asks Lux if she'll leave with him, but since the hammerhead will blow them out of the sky he's forced to join the battle for Akira. Seeking the glory she craves, Exmin gets out in front of the others to confront Sador's fighters in space first, and when she can't shake two on her tail the rest of the mercs arrive. Gelt destroys several of the enemy fighters by himself but is blasted out of space by the flagship and plummets down to the planet's surface. There the Cowboy leads the now armed Akira resistance against the Malmuri ground assault in a fierce laser battle that sees heavy losses on both sides. The Malmuri use a sonic tank to repel the locals back to their caves, so the Kelvins volunteer to save them since they don't have any ears. They put themselves in front of the tank and expel all of their heat, destroying the war machine but also going completely cold in the process. The Akira begin repelling the invaders off their planet with their new advanced weapons like Quopeg's space spear that acts like any other. Zed's also out there getting his hands dirty until being killed alongside Gelt, who wasn't able to survive his wounds from the crash. Shad orders him to be buried with honors when the Valkyrie comes in at the worst time, talking about how overjoyed she is to be taking lives. During this time the Nestor have been planning an assassination, as one of their clones deliberately got himself captured by Sador. Just like Frankenstein's creation, the Warlords patched together from harvested limbs, and the Nestor knew that Sador needed a new arm to replace his damaged one. When it's finally attached, their psychic link allows the other clones to control the arm and remotely attempt to cut Sador's throat. The Doctor quickly removes it, spoiling the assassination attempt, so in retaliation the flustered Sador orders his whole fleet to strike the surface. The remaining defenders get back in their spaceships and begin a series of dogfights where they're slowly picked off one by one. The psychics are the first to go when they get blown out of space by the hammerhead, but at least they got that excitement they wanted. Sador lowers its shield preparing to fire the stellar converter, so Exmin receives her glorious death by sacrificing herself to disable the weapon. Cayman and his crew also make a run at the flagship, hootin' and hollerin' about revenge, but are blown up before making any impact. The Cowboy kisses Lux goodbye and takes his space truck into orbit, where he destroys a few enemy fighters but is also blown out of the sky. He plummets down to the planet, all the while playing his harmonica in his final moments, leaving only Shad and Nell left alive. With the weight of the world on their shoulders, Zed's ship is crippled by the hammerhead's defenses and captured by its tractor beam, leaving no hope for the people of Akira. In a desperate attempt to avoid capture, Shad reverse thrusts through the beam and lands Nell beside the disabled stellar converter. He activates the self-destruct program and they say their goodbyes to the computer before using an escape pod to eject into space. Before Sador's men can disable it, the ship explodes, causing the stellar converter to backfire and destroy the hammerhead along with everybody on board. The escape pod descends to Akira, and though grieving the loss of their allies, the survivors find comfort in the notion that we win. And the movie ends.